はじめまして、私はネマスティルイヤと申します。よろしくお願いします。私はオハイオ州に住んでいます。オハイオ州のメリーズビル高校というところで働いています。私は日本語の教師です。よろしくお願いします。I decided to take Japanese on a whim. It was completely random. It was an option in my high school for a foreign language course. We had French and Spanish and Japanese, and my mom encouraged me to take Japanese because it was different. We didn't know anything about it, and I'm a speaker of Russian. I was born in Russia, so my mom thought, oh, it's very different from English, it's different from Russian. So really it was just on a whim. I had no previous knowledge, just for fun, just to see what would happen. I just grew up learning Russian, speaking Russian. Then I moved to America when I was 8.5, almost 9. And I learned English just circumstantially being in America, being in the school. So, and because of my age, it wasn't really like academic setting. It was just kind of picked up through conversation and being, like I said, in school, I had to use it to communicate. Learning Japanese was very different because it was an elective. I took it in high school. It was like an academic course. So it was like a different purposes, but grammatically it's completely different. Pronunciation wise, it's completely different. Kanji, right? Russian doesn't have kanji. And Japanese has 3 alphabets, Russian doesn't. So I would say pronunciation wise and grammatically, Japanese, in my opinion, is more approachable, more doable, easier. But kanji-wise, I would say that's where the challenges are because you have to learn them in context. This was also not a very direct path. I was tutoring Russian and Japanese, and after studying abroad, I was tutoring Japanese also in the Miami program to other college students, graduating with a degree in East Asian languages and cultures. And a music degree. I continued tutoring, but I really didn't know what direction I was going in. And then I realized that through my experiences, I like the aspects of teaching. So I was tutoring English to Japanese company employees. I was tutoring Japanese to middle school students. I was just doing all these little teaching experiences, and I didn't put the two together that I would enjoy teaching other people. So becoming a Japanese teacher was not something I ever planned at the beginning, and it wasn't anything that I had any idea about, but I got my master's degree in education and foreign language ed, and I think that's where I really just honed in on what I wanted to do and realized it's my passion. I think probably studying abroad. You come to Japan with all these preconceived ideas and notions of what it's going to be like. You also come to Japan, like I came from academic background, so like I had academic Japanese. I took it in the classroom, I had a book, I studied, I got good grades. So I had the idea that I could communicate, but that wasn't the case. And there was a lot of frustration that I hear from a lot of students too, like you come to a country, why can't I speak? Why can't I get my ideas across? And I think there was a moment, like a shift, I would say like 3-4 months in, where I started not suffering as much and surviving and more communicating and being able to communicate my feelings, my thoughts. And it was fun. And there was moments, many moments where I realized, like speaking with my host family, that something happened and things clicked and I could communicate. And I started thinking in Japanese and I started hearing things around me, and the same signs, the same people, same buses, same whatever started making sense because I was around it so much. There was many moments where it was like, I personally see a value in this now because like I'm no longer struggling, but I'm communicating with somebody using their language. I'm understanding their cultural nuances and back and forth. And it's just a very cool feeling. Yeah, and understanding why people think the way they think, right? And their experiences is what shapes their opinions, right? And who they're around. And so language and culture are connected also, not just like culture like food or culture like, look at the map of Japan, not like surface culture, but why do you think the way you think and why do you believe certain things and your ideas and your ideologies a lot of that is connected through language. And once you learn that language in context, you kind of can see and understand other people better. Certain advanced kanji. I'm always learning, looking up things. So I like to have authentic sources in my classroom. I make kids read real things all the time because I feel like that's what I lacked when I was learning Japanese, and I would just memorize things and then forget them. Like they didn't stay because they had no actual context meaning for me. So I make people and students read things, and I look up things all the time. So for me, kanji, I wouldn't say I struggle. It's just something I'm always learning. There's so much, and so much of it based on topic, right? Like medical terminology or science or things. And then another thing I would say that's still challenging for me is keigo, so honorifics, right? But I've gotten better and better because, again, I had to use it in my emails. I've had to use it in our communications with our sister city, for example, in Japan and where I live. I've had to communicate with professors. I've done communication for our local Ohio Japanese Teaching Association. And at the national level, you're just used to reading things. And the more you read and the more you have to write back, the easier it becomes. But those are two challenging things, probably high-level kanji and honorific language. But it's less scary once you realize they have a certain structure and that you just memorize and see over and over the same words being used, and you kind of understand why. I think it's less scary once you break it down. I have somebody that's going right now to Ohio State with hopes of becoming a Japanese teacher. I have students that double major in computers in Japanese, engineering in Japanese, and I always tell them it's a skill. It doesn't have to be your degree. It doesn't have to be a piece of paper. It's a skill that you can take and group with your other skills, and it just makes you more, what's the word? It makes it easier for you to communicate with other people, and it definitely makes you more valuable in the job market. So, because Japan is embedded everywhere in our lives, people just don't realize. 日本語を習うのは、もちろん難しいことあるし、例えば、英語に比べたら文法はなんか違いますが、諦めないでね、漢字とか文法とか難しいことがあれば、絶対少しずつ自分が好きな方法で楽しく勉強すればするほど、なんかぜひ上手になれます。頑張ってください。